Hey guys, so this is the Chapter 9 and 10 OT66 Case Study Help video. You were assigned odd cases for both Chapter 9 and 10, which kind of surprised me. I don't know what I was doing and didn't make one odd and one even, but on the syllabus I just checked and it's Chapter 9 and 10 both have odd cases assigned to you. So, starting with Case Study 1, it is a patient that had a post-op diagnosis of a left axillary lymphadenitis. The procedure done was an excision of one axillary lymph node. So to look up this case, starting in the index, we are going with excision first, and then we will look up lymph nodes. So just a note that you will, of course, as always, want to check your code range. So that you make sure that you are selecting the code that is most specific to this case. And that should be your standard procedure, really, for all code selection across all of the coding methods, CPT, ICD-10, and PCS. But if it's not, you need to get in that habit. Okay, so let me pause and flip the book. I'm going to tell you before I do, I went to flip it and looked in here. This may change your code. This deepen the fascia may change your code selection. So the process to look it up will still be the same, but you want to check because that fascia there may cause it to be a more specific code. All right, let me flip real quick. All right, so case 3 is bone marrow and bone marrow aspiration. Okay, so let me read through this one more time real quick. Procedure was repeated. Contingent flow, contingent cytogenetics, patient tolerated procedure well, return to follow-up results. Okay, so here's the thing. It looks like he had a couple of biopsies and aspirations in this one procedure. So some things that you need to know when you're looking this code up in particular is that there should be guidelines at the beginning of that section in your CPT manual that tell you how many procedures can fall under one code, or how many times that code can be reported for like one 24-hour period. So you're going to want to make sure that you're checking those because it could be that the code can only be reported like once a day, regardless of the procedure being done numerous times in that day. So that's my helpful hint for this one, is to make sure you read those reporting requirements at the beginning of the section, okay? So to get to that section, you're going to look in the index for biopsy and then bone marrow. Now, to answer another question that I commonly get, this is two separate procedures technically. There's a biopsy where they're clipping tissue, and then an aspiration where they're pulling fluid and things. So this biopsy, though, includes this aspiration. So I'm just going to make a little note right here that the aspiration is part of the biopsy. So the aspiration is part of the biopsy, so there is no separate code for the marrow aspiration. Okay? So let me flip over to case 5, and I'll be right back. Okay, so 54-year-old male, cervical lymph node. So the cervical area was anesthetized, incision made. Okay, so this one's pretty straightforward. In the index, you're going to look up excision. And then you will look up lymph node. And then, of course, you're going to want to check your codes to make sure that you don't need one that's more specific for like this or anything like that. All right, so that's it for chapter 9. Let me flip over to chapter 10. Be right back. Okay, so just a couple of case studies for chapter 10. Again, you were assigned the odd cases, so it looks like that's case 1 and 3 for chapter 10. So starting off with case 1. Incision. So resected, so there's your resection. Yikes, that sounds painful. Okay, so for case 1, you will look up resection. And then in the index, and then look for tumor under that. And then where is this? In the mediastinum. Okay. So that's case 1. Let me flip over to case 3. Okay, so case 3, lymph node biopsy being performed for staging of his recently diagnosed lung cancer. Preptondrate. So lymph nodes 2, 4, 5, and 7 were removed and sent to patho. Scope was removed. Mediastinum scope was introduced. Okay, so for case 3, a couple of things. First, you're going to look up mediastinum in the index, and then look up endoscopy. And then you have to look up biopsy. And check your codes. To make sure that your code fits for the removal. Alright, so that's it for case 3. If you guys have any questions, email me or drop them into the announcement or comment board. Excuse me, discussion board, not comment board. Good Lord. Discussion board, and we will try to get through them. Thanks, guys.